This video is about she took her kids to the garden and a billionaire handed her an umbrella. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. Rain had turned the world into a watercolor painting, hues of grey blending with the vibrant greens of the garden. Clara Evans, a single mother of 2 lively children, had decided that a little drizzle could indeed dampen their spirits. The garden, a local treasure, was their sanctuary, a place where nature spilled its secrets and the chaos of their lives faded away. As they arrived, Clara adjusted the straps of her canvas tote filled with snacks, treasures gathered from their last visit, and a well-loved book of fairy tales. She glanced at her children, Lucy and Max, ages 7 and 5, respectively. They were splashing happily in puddles, their giggles slicing through the rhythm of the rain. "Mom, look at me," Lucy called, her bright yellow raincoat gleaming like a sunbeam against the dreary backdrop. She danced around, twirling with abandon, while Max stomped through the waterlogged grass, his small boot sending sprays of water in all directions. "Okay, but don't jump too much, you might get soaked," Aura shouted back, though she couldn't help the smile that crept onto her face. Watching them, she felt a warmth spread through her chest, a mixture of love and nostalgia. But even in these moments of joy, Clara couldn't shake the weight of her reality. It had been 2 years since her husband left, citing a need for freedom that had shattered her heart. She had fought hard to build a stable life for her children, juggling work as a graphic designer with parenting, often feeling like she was one deadline away from collapsing under pressure. A sudden clap of thunder startled her, pulling her from her thoughts. The kids continued their playful antics, undeterred by the storm brewing above. Clara took a deep breath, trying to push her worries aside. "All right, time to huddle under the gazebo, kiddos," she called, waving her arms to gather them. As they dashed toward the wooden structure, Clara felt a presence beside her. She turned, and her breath caught in her throat. Standing a few feet away was a tall figure, a man with tousled dark hair and an air of casual elegance. He was dressed in a fitted navy coat, his jeans looking effortlessly stylish, yet practical for the weather. "Here," he said, extending a large black umbrella toward her, the fabric unfurling to create a shield between them and the rain. "You might need this." Clara blinked, momentarily taken aback. "Oh, thank you." She hesitated, feeling the flutter of nerves. "But I wouldn't want to take your umbrella." "Honestly, it is not a problem at all, I insist," he replied with a charming smile. There was something disarming about him, an easy confidence that made her heart thrum a little faster. She could feel her cheeks warm as she accepted the umbrella, their fingers brushing together for just a moment. "I am Clara, by the way," she introduced herself, trying to shake off the spark that ignited at their touch. "Nathan," he said, his gaze lingering on her for a heartbeat too long. Clara felt a flutter of something: curiosity, attraction, maybe both, as she studied his face. There was a hint of mischief in his deep-set brown eyes, as if he enjoyed her surprise. "Are you here with your kids?" she asked, glancing around for signs of his family, but she saw none. "Just me," he replied, shrugging. "I love this garden, it is peaceful, even in the rain." Clara nodded, her heart pounding at the prospect of being alone with a man, even if it was just for a moment. "It is, I bring them here often, it is their favorite spot." Lucy and Max were now huddled under the gazebo, shaking droplets from their hair like wet poppies. "Mom, can we have some snacks?" Lucy pleaded, her round eyes wide with anticipation. "Sure, just give me a second," Clara responded, folding the umbrella to create a barrier between herself and the rain. Nathan stepped closer, shielding them with the umbrella while Clara rummaged through her throat. "Your kids are adorable," he said, a genuine warmth in his voice. "How old are they?" "Lucy is 7, and Max is 5, Clara answered, looking up at him. "They keep me on my toes." "I can imagine." He chuckled softly, his laughter resonating in the empty space around them. "I am not sure I could handle that level of energy." "Though, it is a challenge," Clara said, a playful spark igniting between them. "But worth it." In that moment, as the rain drummed a steady beat on the umbrella, Clara caught a glimpse of Nathan beyond the surface. There was something tender in his demeanor as he watched her children. It tugged at her heartstrings, a reminder of the connection she craved as someone who could share in her world, even for just a fleeting moment. "Do you come here often?" he asked, clearly interested in her response. "Whenever I can," she admitted, tucking a stray hair behind her ear. "It is a bit of an escape for us. My kids love exploring, and I love watching them be kids." A flicker of something passed between them, a silent agreement in the way their eyes met. There was an unspoken understanding he was a man who appreciated the beauty in ordinary moments, just as she did. "What do you do?" she asked, curiosity getting the better of her. "I am a businessman," he replied casually, a hint of pride seeping into his voice. "I run a tech startup. It keeps me busy, but I try to carve out time for life outside of it." Clara raised an eyebrow, surprised by the sudden revelation. "A businessman, huh? You don't seem like the typical suit and tie type." He laughed, a sound that made her heart flutter again. "I like to think I am a little more laid back than that. It is nice to step away from the boardroom sometimes." "Must be nice to have that flexibility," Clara remarked, a touch of envy creeping into her voice. She couldn't help but think of her own responsibilities, the constant juggling act of work and motherhood. "It is, but have you learned that balance is key?" Nathan said, his expression thoughtful. "And being in a place like this makes it easier." The conversation continued, flowing naturally as they exchanged stories. Clara found herself laughing more than she'd expected, the tension of her daily life melting away with each shared word. Excitement bubbled within her, a warmth that spread through her chest as the rain fell steadily around them. But as they spoke, a small voice in the back of her mind reminded her of her reality, the challenges of her life as a single mother, the scars left behind by her past. Was it foolish to entertain thoughts of romance, even for a moment? Suddenly, Lucy tugged at Clara's sleeve. "Mom, can we go play in the mud now?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Just a little, okay?" Clara replied, smiling down at her daughter. Then turning back to Nathan, she added, "I guess our conversation will have to wait. Join us." Max chimed in, splashing in the water with uncontained joy. Nathan chuckled, his eyes lighting up. "I'd love to, but I am not sure I am prepared for the mud bath." Clara laughed, the sound mingling with the rain, feeling buoyant for the first time in ages. "You might change your mind." As Lucy and Max dashed back into the rain, Clara's heart raced with exhilaration. Perhaps this moment, this unexpected connection, was just what she needed. But as she watched her kids, she couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty. Could she really allow herself to explore this chemistry? Or would it simply lead her to another heartbreak? Clara took a deep breath, pushing the doubts aside for now. After all, today was about her children, and for the first time in a long while, she felt the possibility of joy. The rain intensified, transforming the garden into a sanctuary of sound, each droplet resonating like a heartbeat. Clara watched as her children became little whirlwinds, their laughter echoing through the air, splashing through puddles with unrestrained joy. She turned back to Nathan, who was now leaning against the gazebo's railing, watching her kids with an amused smile. "They were really something," he remarked, shaking his head in disbelief. "I haven't seen kids this happy in ages." Clara's heart warmed at his words, feeling a swell of pride. "They bring me a lot of joy, even if they drive me a little crazy sometimes," she admitted, glancing sideways at him. "But I wouldn't trade it for the world." "Crazy keeps life interesting," Nathan replied, his voice low and mesmerizing. "I admire that you're redoing this alone. It must be a lot of work." The compliment lingered between them, and Clara felt the weight of it. She'd spent so long carrying burdens alone, never allowing herself to dwell on the admiration she craved but rarely received. "It can be tough," she said softly, her voice tinged with vulnerability. "But there are moments that make it worth it." Nathan nodded, his eyes searching hers. "I can see that. You have a light about you, even in the rain," he said, sincerity woven into his tone. Her breath hitched slightly. Clara wasn't used to compliments like that, especially ones that struck a chord deep within. "Thank you," she managed, her cheeks warming. "You're not bad company yourself." He smiled, a playful glint lighting up his expression. "I'll take that as a compliment. Should I be expecting a mud invitation next?" She chuckled, feeling the tension shift, a delightful flirtation woven through their words. "Only if you promise to keep up with them," she teased, nodding toward her children who were now gleefully stomping through a particularly deep puddle. "I'll give it a try," he said, pushing off from the railing and adjusting the umbrella to cover them both better. The intimacy of their proximity sent a thrill for Clara. "But only if you promise not to laugh too hard when I inevitably slip." "I can't make any promises," Clara shot back, her heart fluttering. "It might just be too entertaining." As they stepped out into the rain, Clara felt liberated, a dance of droplets cascading around them. She watched Lucy twirling in the mud, her laughter ringing like chimes in the air. Max was chasing after her, attempting to catch the raindrops with open hands. The moment felt perfect, and Clara lost herself in the joy of it, momentarily pushing aside the thoughts that crept into her mind like shadows, the responsibilities waiting for her at home, the struggle to balance work and motherhood, her fear of opening her heart again. "Okay, Mud Wars," she called, her voice slicing through the rain. "Let us see who can make the biggest splash." Me? Lucy squealed, her eyes wide with excitement. Clara could hardly contain her own joy as she joined them, splashing through the puddles with abandon. Nathan hesitated for a moment but soon followed, his laughter mingling with the kids as he jumped in, creating a shower of muddy droplets. Clara couldn't help but laugh, the sound ringing clear and bright. Here was this man, a businessman who could easily have been at a swanky brunch, yet here he was, fully embracing the chaos. She found herself drawn to the side of him, someone who wasn't afraid to get a little dirty for the sake of fun. "Not bad for a businessman," Clara joked as she splashed mud in his direction. "It just dawned to tell my investors," he quipped back, shaking his hair like a dog to spray her with even more water. "Hey, no fair," she exclaimed, wiping her face with the back of her hand, but she couldn't suppress her laughter. As they continued to play, a comfortable camaraderie blossomed between them. But beneath the laughter, Clara felt a swell of warmth each time Nathan met her gaze, a chemistry that pulsed with an intensity that made her heart race. "All right, Mud Warriors," Clara eventually called out, her voice slightly breathless from laughing. "How about a quick snack break before we head back into the rain?" "Snack time." Max cheered, his little face beaming with delight. Lucy followed suit, and soon they were huddled under the gazebo again, the umbrella providing a makeshift shelter from the drizzle. Clara began pulling out the snacks. She prepared sandwiches cut into fun shapes, apple slices, and even some gummy bears for a treat. As she set everything out, she caught Nathan watching her, an appreciative smile on his face. "You really come prepared," he remarked, picking up a gummy bear and tossing it in his mouth. "I think I need to take a page from your book." "Just a mom trying to keep up with her kids," she replied, slightly embarrassed but also proud. "I've learned that a little preparation goes a long way." As they shared the snacks, Clara felt the dynamic shift, the playful banter morphing into something deeper. They exchanged stories, his life in the tech world, her journey through motherhood. Each shared moment felt like a thread weaving them closer together. "Do you ever get a break?" Nathan asked, his gaze steady on her. "It seems like you're always on the go." Clara hesitated, his question hitting a nerve. "Not really," she admitted quietly. "It is hard to find time for myself. I am always worried something will fall through the cracks if I take a moment to breathe." "I can understand that," Nathan said, his voice softer now. "But you deserve to take a break, Clara. You're doing an incredible job." His words resonated with her, a balm on the worries that had been swirling in her head. But doubt crept in, and she felt the weight of reality press down on her. "It is just sometimes I feel like I am drowning," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am trying to be everything for my kids, and it is exhausting." Nathan's expression shifted, something sympathetic softening his features. "You don't have to do it alone, you know," he said gently. "There are people who want to help, who want to share in the burden." "Like who?" Clara shot back, the bitterness creeping into her tone. "My ex, he has not exactly been present." "That is not what I meant," he replied, the intensity in his gaze catching her off guard. "I am talking about finding others in your life to lean on, to share those moments with. I'd be happy to help, even if it is just to be company during the chaotic times." Clara felt a warmth in his words, but doubt knocked at the door of her heart. "It is easy to say that, but it is different in practice," she said, her voice wavering. "Maybe," he conceded, "but it doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Let me take you out sometime, just you and me." Sincerity in Nathan's eyes made her pulse quicken. Was she ready for that? A small voice inside her screamed caution, warning her of the heartbreak she'd endured, of the responsibilities that loomed large. But another part of her, part she hadn't allowed to surface for years, yearned to explore this connection. "It's just a coffee," he added, breaking through her internal struggle. "An hour, maybe 2, it could be fun." "Fun," she echoed softly, her heart racing at the idea. Could she really do that? "Okay, coffee sounds nice." "Great," he smiled, and Clara felt a spark ignite between them, something electric and alive. "I'll get your number, and we can set something up." But just as she began to reach for her phone, a distant rumble of thunder interrupted the moment. Clara glanced up, her heart sinking slightly. "I should probably get them home before the weather really turns," she said reluctantly. "Of course." Nathan's expression shifted to one of understanding. "But let us not let this be the last time we meet, okay?" Clara nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and uncertainty. "I do like that," she replied, her voice earnest. As they began to gather their things, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something that could either blossom into an unexpected romance or unravel into a mess of complications. She glanced at Nathan as he helped Lucy put her raincoat back on, their chemistry undeniable, yet tinged with the weight of reality. "Thank you for today," she said, meeting his gaze with a sincerity that felt like a promise, not just a goodbye. "My pleasure," he replied, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "You reminded me how to enjoy the little things again." As they stepped through the garden gate, Clara felt the first twinge of hope in a long time. Maybe, just maybe, she could allow herself to explore this connection, despite the fears that lingered in the back of her mind. The rain continued to fall, but for the first time, it felt like a cleansing, washing away the heaviness of her heart and replacing it with the possibility of something new. Clara's heart raced as they made their way back through the garden, the air thick with the fresh scent of damp earth and blooming flowers. The rain had eased into a gentle drizzle, but the remnants of their muddy escapade clung to them, a reminder of the fleeting joy they shared. Lucy and Max were animated, discussing their favorite moments while Clara balanced keeping up with them and stealing glances at Nathan, who walked alongside her, the umbrella still half open, forming a small haven around them. "Did you see how deep that puddle was?" Lucy exclaimed, her cheeks flushed with exhilaration. "I think I splashed the biggest wave." "You totally did, Lucy. You were like a superhero of mud." Max chimed in, his small hands making gestures as if he were illustrating the scene. Clara smiled at their enthusiasm, feeling warmth bloom within her. "Superhero of mud, ha, that sounds like a title you should wear with pride," she said, her voice light. "Can we do it again next time, Mom?" Lucy asked, her big eyes sparkling with hope. "Of course," Clara replied, though internally she felt a twinge of uncertainty. Could she really keep this up? Turning her attention back to Nathan, she caught him watching her, a small smile playing on his lips. "You have two very spirited kids," he said, admiration softening his voice. "It must take a lot of energy to keep up with them." "More than I sometimes have," Clara admitted, laughing lightly. "But it is worth it to see them so happy." "I can only imagine," he replied, his gaze steady, sending a ripple of warmth through her. "And you're doing an incredible job, Clara. It is not easy, and you should give yourself more credit." His words resonated within her, the encouragement blooming like wildflowers in her chest. It felt good to be seen, to have someone acknowledge her efforts. "Thank you, Nathan," she said softly, her sincerity palpable. As they reached the garden gate, Clara felt a sudden rush of reality crash over her like a wave. This was all so new, and while she was exhilarated, a part of her pulled back, wary of the emotions swirling within. Could she really engage with someone like him? Someone who seemed to have it all together while she was still navigating chaos. "Shall I help you with the kids' gear?" Nathan offered, gesturing toward the assortment of raincoats, muddy boots, and bags. "Oh, that is all right, I can manage," Clara replied, trying to brush off his offer, though her heart fluttered at the thought of his willingness to help. "Just let me," he insisted, moving to kneel beside Max, who was struggling to pull off his muddy boots. "These are like fortress boots, huh?" Nathan said, feigning a struggle as he exaggeratedly pulled on the boot, eliciting delighted giggles from the little boy. Clara watched their interaction, her heart swelling with something she hadn't felt in a long time, in awareness that this man, who seemed to effortlessly interact with her children, was slowly becoming an important part of her life. "You read quite the boot whisperer," she teased, moving to help Lucy with her coat. "Just trying to keep up with the mud superheroes," he replied, throwing her a cheeky grin. Once the kids were bundled up, Clara turned to Nathan, a moment of hesitation hanging between them. "I really did enjoy today," she said, her voice steady. "It was a breath of fresh air." "Good," he replied, their eyes locking for a moment. "I had a great time too, more than I expected, actually. I wasn't too sure I could let myself enjoy it," she confessed, the weight of her insecurities spilling out. "But playing in the rain, seeing them this happy, it reminded me of what I've been missing." Nathan's expression softened, as if he could sense the turmoil bubbling beneath the surface. He deserved to let loose sometimes, Clara. Life can't always be about responsibilities. His words struck a chord. Clara felt the conflict rise within her, a battle between her responsibilities and her desire to embrace life fully, something she hadn't allowed herself to do for so long. "It is just, sometimes it feels like if I let go, everything will collapse," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe it won't," he countered gently. "Maybe it'll just add to the beautiful chaos that is your life right now." They shared a moment of silence, the rain pattering softly around them as Clara absorbed his words. She wanted to believe him, to let herself lean into the hope he offered. But fear echoed in her heart, reminding her of the fragility of trust, the wounds of her past. "Let us get these little ones home," she finally said, breaking the silence, determined to keep her emotions in check. "They need a warm bath after their adventures in the mud." "Right," Nathan agreed, pushing himself to his feet. "But remember, you promised me coffee." "Coffee?" Clara echoed, a smile creeping across her face. "Yes, I did." As they walked toward the car, the kids chattering excitedly about their next adventure, Clara felt a spark of possibility igniting within her. Maybe there was a way to explore this connection without letting it unravel into chaos. After loading the kids into their car seats, Clara turned to Nathan, who stood beside her, the moment feeling heavy with unspoken words. "Do you really want to get together for coffee?" she asked, looking into his eyes, searching for sincerity. "Absolutely," he replied without hesitation, a reassuring warmth radiating from him. "I'd love to hear more about your life, and you can tell me all about your superhero kids." Laughter bubbled up inside her at the thought of it. "Alright then, I'll text you later and we can figure something out," she said, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. "Looking forward to it," Nathan replied, and there was a glimmer in his eyes that made her heart flutter again. As Clara climbed into the car, she turned to wave goodbye, and Nathan raised his hand in response, a soft smell lingering on his lips. That smell stayed with her, wrapping around her heart like a warm embrace. Driving home felt surreal, the world outside blurred by the rain, but inside her chest, a whirlwind of emotion stirred. The children chatted about the day's adventures, and Clara listened, smiling and nodding, yet her mind drifted back to Nathan, the way he had engaged with her children, the warmth in his gaze, the fleeting yet intense connection they shared. "Mom, can we go back to the garden next week?" Lucy piped up, her voice a mixture of excitement and hope. Clara took a moment to respond, feeling the weight of her daughter's anticipation. "We LLC, sweetheart, maybe we can make it a regular thing." "Yeah." Max cheered, pumping his tiny fist in the air. Clara turned the car onto their street, her heart fluttering with possibilities. "And who knows, maybe we can invite someone to join us next time," she said, her voice light, the idea of Nathan mingling with her family filling her with warmth. Lucy's eyes widened with excitement. "Like a new friend?" "Exactly," Clara replied, her thoughts racing ahead. "A new friend." That night, after the children were tucked into bed, Clara sat down with her phone, her heart pounding as she prepared to text Nathan. The screen glowed softly in the dim light, illuminating her thoughts. "Hey Nathan, just wanted to say thank you for today. The kids and I had a blast. Would love to grab that coffee soon. Let me know when you're free." As she hit send, a mix of exhilaration and anxiety washed over her. Was she ready to allow someone into her life like this? She didn't know, but she felt the stirring of hope. Moments later, her phone buzzed, and Clara's heart raced as she opened the message. "Hey Clara, I had a wonderful time too. I am free this weekend if that works for you. Can't wait to hear all about your superhero adventures." A smile broke across Clara's face, warmth spreading through her chest. "This is it," she whispered to herself, feeling a rush of possibilities unfurling before her. As she lay in bed, thoughts swirling, Clara realized she was ready to embrace the uncertainty. Life was about balancing chaos with joy, and maybe, just maybe, Nathan was the breath of fresh air she needed to navigate it all. The weekend arrived, a canvas of clear blue skies and soft sunlight that felt like a gift after the rain. Clara stood in front of her closet, surrounded by clothes she hardly wore anymore, remnants of a life before marriage, vibrant outfits that had seemed too extravagant for her new reality as a single mother. "Mom, hurry, we don't want to be late." Lucia's voice called out from the living room, impatience lacing her tone. "I am coming, just give me a minute." Clara shot back, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and anxiety. Today marked her first coffee outing with Nathan, a man who had unexpectedly slipped into her life, igniting something within her she thought she'd buried long ago. She settled on a simple yet flattering navy blouse paired with dark jeans, comfort meeting a hint of effort. Clara studied her reflection, a stranger in the mirror, caught between the woman she used to be and the mother she had become. "Hey, Mom." Max shouted from the living room, his small, cherubic face appearing at the doorway. "Can you help me tie my shoelaces?" "Of course." Clara called, grabbing a light cardigan to throw over her shoulders before rushing to her son's side. Both kids were dressed for their Saturday adventure, Lucy in a bright pink dress that swirled around her like cotton candy, and Max in a spirited superhero t-shirt, a hand-me-down that had seen its fair share of adventures. Look at you two, ready to take on the world, Clara exclaimed, kneeling to help Max with his laces. But first, I need to take on my own adventure. Were you gonna fly? Lucy asked, her innocent eyes wide with wonder. Not quite, but I might just lie into a really good coffee, Clara replied, struggling to suppress her nervousness. Max giggled. Coffee is not for flying, Mom, it is for drinking. Touch, she chuckled, finally finishing with Max's shoes. Now, let us get out of here before we be late. As they piled into the car, Clara's mind raced, thoughts swirling around the possibilities of her day with Nathan. What if the chemistry they shared in the garden was just a fluke? What if she couldn't relax and be herself? Mom, can I have a donut? Max asked, his little voice piercing through her spiraling thoughts. Sure, we can grab one before we meet Nathan, Clara replied, stealing a glance at Lucy in the back seat. She was humming a tune, her fingers tapping along to an invisible beat, blissfully unaware of Clara's inner turmoil. As they drove, Clara focused on the road, trying to quell the fluttering in her stomach. The coffee shop was located near the garden, a cozy little nook adorned with flowers and outdoor seating that felt inviting and intimate. Upon arriving, Clara took a deep breath, trying to ground herself in the moment to push aside the doubts that lingered. Okay, deep breaths, she whispered, a mantra for herself. She turned to her kids, who were already bouncing with excitement. Let us get some yummy treats, she cheered, stepping out of the car and grabbing her purse as they bolted toward the entrance. Inside, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and sweet pastries enveloped her like a warm embrace. The shop was bustling, but Clara caught sight of Nathan immediately. He was seated at a corner table, his casual elegance standing out even among the vibrancy of the cafe. Look, Mom, there's a big cupcake, Lucy squealed, tugging at Clara's sleeve, her eyes wide with wonder at the colorful display of baked goods. First, we say hi to Nathan, Clara said gently, giving her children a reassuring smile. She approached the table, her heart racing. Taith, Nathan greeted, standing to meet her with that charming smile that made her heart flutter. Good to see you, Clara. You too, this place is really cute, Clara replied, momentarily forgetting her worries as she settled into the chair opposite him. Definitely one of my favorites. I hope you'll be ready for some delicious coffee, he said, gesturing toward the menu on the wall. Absolutely. Any recommendations? Clara asked, feeling the tension in her shoulders ease as they fell into easy conversation. Try the caramel macchiato, it is my go-to, and you can't go wrong with the blueberry scones, he suggested, his enthusiasm infectious. I'll take your word for it, Clara said as she waved over a barista. As they placed their orders, Lucy and Max began to explore the shop, their energetic presence lighting up the corners of the cozy cafe. Clara watched them, her heart swelling with pride and affection, but Nathan's eyes drew her attention back, holding her gaze. Your kids are adorable, he said, his voice soft, genuine. They seem really excited. They love adventures, Clara responded, smiling warmly. And I am trying to encourage that in them, even if it is a little chaotic sometimes. Chaos can be beautiful, he replied, his tone almost philosophical, a glimmer of understanding in his eyes. It is where the real magic happens. True, Clara mused, her confidence slowly building. It is just finding that balance that is the challenge. Nathan nodded, leaning forward slightly, his expression earnest. You're doing a great job, Clara. It is clear they adore you. Thank you for saying that, she replied, the warmth of his words settling over her like a soft blanket. It means a lot, especially coming from someone like you. Before Nathan could respond, Lucy and Max returned, their hands full of goodies they had chosen from the display. Look, Mom, I got this. Lucy exclaimed, holding up a colorful cupcake with sprinkles. Wow, that looks delicious, Clara said, trying to contain her laughter. I hope you plan to share. Maybe? Lucy giggled, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Clara turned back to Nathan, who was watching the exchange with amusement. Looks like you've got two little sugar monsters on your hands, he teased, a broad smile on his face. Don't I know it, she laughed, feeling a sense of ease envelop her. Just like that, they were a little family, a moment suspended in time where it felt like nothing else mattered. After their orders arrived, the conversation flowed naturally, laughter punctuating their exchanges. Clara felt that electric connection rekindling between them, warmth swirling around as they shared stories, each laugh drawing them closer together. But as they spoke, Clara noticed moments when Nathan would glance toward her children, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. Do you think they were okay? He asked, concern lacing his tone. Clara followed his gaze, seeing Lucy and Max leaning over a table, their small voices animated as they discussed their cupcakes. They refined, she reassured him, gauging the way his brow furrowed slightly. They were just excited. Good, he replied, relaxing a little, but Clara felt a pang of concern. Was he worried about how they would react to him? Or was it something deeper, a reflection of his own childhood? What was it like for you growing up? She asked, curiosity taking hold. Were you close with your family? Nathan paused, his expression shifting to something more serious. My parents divorced when I was young, he said, a hint of pain flickering in his eyes. It was tough. I don't think they realized the impact it would have on us. Clara felt her heart tug. I am sorry to hear that, she replied gently. I know how hard it can be. Yeah, but we made it through, and I learned to appreciate little things, he continued, his gaze unwavering. Moments like this, kids they remind you of what is important. They bring joy in the midst of chaos. I agree, Clara said, her heart swelling as she thought of her children. They were my everything, even when they were driving me up the wall. His laughter warmed her, and Clara felt a flutter of something deep within. Maybe this connection was more than she first thought. Maybe they could share more than just coffee. As they continued to talk, the small cafe transformed into a world just for the two of them. But the shadow of uncertainty lingered. Would Nathan want to become part of their lives? Would he be okay with the chaos inherent in motherhood? Are you sure you want this? Clara's voice dropped to a whisper, her heart pounding. That, and my kids. Nathan studied her, his expression thoughtful. Honestly, yes, I want to get to know you and your kids, all the chaos included. It is an adventure I'd be willing to embrace. Really? She asked, her heart racing. Absolutely, he replied, his gaze steady, unwavering. I see something special here, Clara, and I think you deserve to let someone in. Clara felt the weight of his words sink in, and for the first time in a long while she allowed herself to hope. But even as that hope bloomed, a nagging doubt surfaced. Could she truly open her heart again? Was she ready for the possibility of love, of vulnerability? The moment hung suspended between them, a fragile thread connecting their hearts. Clara's breath